Happy Friday, and welcome to the Daily Carnage Show, the weekly podcast by your favorite marketing newsletter, The Daily Carnage. I'm Shannon. I'm a digital marketing strategist at Carney, and every Friday I'm bringing you breaking news, trending stories, cool campaigns, and other insights from the marketing and advertising world so that you're always the sharpest marketer in the room. So let's get started. Well, the ad industry is holding its breath. With fresh tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, the cost of doing business is rising fast. And as we know, when costs go up, ad budgets go down. Nearly half of advertisers say they're already planning to cut spending. Retail, consumer electronics, and media are expected to take the biggest hit, but even automakers who typically spend billions on ads are even bracing for impact. And then you have Google and Meta, which rely heavily on e-com giants from China like Temu and Shein, so they could also see a slowdown. I think the big question now is, will brands pass these costs on to the consumer, or will they eat the losses and pull back on ad spend? But either way, it looks like marketers are definitely in for a bumpy ride for 2025. And that's not the only challenge that brands are navigating this year. As DEI efforts come under political fire, we're starting to see companies shifting their approach. Many are quietly replacing suddenly controversial words like inclusion with words like belonging, sometimes even pulling back on external messaging, even as internal initiatives and language may stay intact. So the challenge for marketers is going to be maintaining engagement from diverse audiences while somehow avoiding backlash from anti-DEI critics and disappointed supporters. Brands like Target have already seen reputational damage from their recent rollbacks, proving that even subtle shifts are going to spark some controversy. So how do we move forward? In an article this week, Media Post called it quiet DEI, and I'm on board. What I think that really means is adaptability. So if external forces are requiring you to wipe your website of certain words, or even stop using certain language in consumer-facing channels, fine, whatever. Let them think that you've checked that box. But we've lived through the 2020s now. We know the power of diversity, inclusion, and equity, and we can still protect those values wherever it is that we're planted by continuing our advocacy, being creative, and just keeping the train on the tracks until whatever this is blows over. It's all about the belonging. Pinterest is stepping up its fight against AI-generated slop by rolling out official labels for AI-generated images. This move comes after reports revealed an overwhelming influx of low-quality AI content cluttering users' feeds, often pointing to spammy websites. The new labels will appear at the bottom left of images, hopefully providing some more transparency without acting as intrusive watermarks. And while organic AI-generated content will be flagged, paid ads will only include disclosures in the "Why am I seeing this" section. And despite the surge in AI content, Pinterest's user base remains pretty strong. It had 553 million active users in Q4. Pinterest is also allowing users to opt out of having their content be used to train AI, which is good, but this option is enabled by default until April 30th. I think Pinterest, like many other platforms, is really trying to balance AI's role in creativity and engagement while figuring out how to maintain quality control and still provide a good user experience. Let's talk about creativity for a second. What happened to the American dream? In this essay, I will not. A new study from McCann suggests that deepening social and economic divides are fueling what they call the dream gap. It's this growing disconnect between what Americans want and what is actually attainable. You have forces like inflation, automation, and this fight over DEI, leaving 72% of Americans feeling like it's never been harder to get ahead. And when polled, 52% still believed in the American dream, but 70% say hard work no longer guarantees success. But McCann did provide one hopeful data point, which is that a staggering 88% of respondents believe that creativity, especially from brands, has the power to unite people and bridge divides. And we know that brands have historically played a pretty significant role in shaping cultural aspirations, presenting visions of a better future. And now we have kind of a tough decision. Do we lean into optimism and inspiration right now? Or should we be mirroring the stark realities that people are facing on a day-to-day basis? McCann suggests that it's probably a balance of both. You don't want to be so upbeat that you're out of touch with the times. But then again, people come to media to escape from the times. So what are you going to give them? I think the brands that begin to offer hopeful and innovative solutions to real problems that people are facing are going to be able to provide that necessary acknowledgement of reality while still bringing some empowering creativity to the conversation. Do you remember during COVID, it was like every second commercial started with "now more than ever"? At first, I really wanted that because I was like, yeah, now more than ever. And then it was like, if one more brand uses the word unprecedented, we're going to have a precedent on our hands. It's a good time to tap into the psyche of your target audience and just figure out what they need from you right now. And a good example of that is this Canadian cheese brand. They put up a billboard that said cheese strings made with 0% American cheese. As the Buy Canadian movement gains momentum, Cheese Strings decided to lean into their national pride with a very bold, cheeky campaign. They partnered with Broken Heart Love Affair on this, rolling out billboards across Toronto to remind consumers that their cheese is all Canadian, 0 US ingredients included. And this wasn't just a clever tagline. It tapped into a real shift in consumer sentiment. A recent study found that 85% of Canadians want it to be easier to identify homegrown foods, especially as the trade war marches on. And I think Cheese Strings did a great job here of adding some humor to their national identity, reinforcing their roots, and giving consumers a reason to support local in a way that's fun, timely, and on brand. Oh, Canada. As influencer marketing evolves, brands are starting to pay attention to a new wave of creators. Or old wave of creators. I'm of course talking about Gen X and boomers. We're starting to see brands like Progressive Soup, Alaska Airlines, and Mountain Dew all starting to leverage these silver influencers, who we know are often overlooked by digital marketing. And this silver influencer cohort, while smaller in number compared to younger creators, is a really rich demographic that brings a wealth of life experience and a sense of authenticity that really resonates with consumers. Brands aren't only attracted to silver influencers because of their growing social presence, but also because they tend to have a pretty strong connection to their communities. And as we do every day, we polled our newsletter subscribers and found that 42% have actually already worked with a silver influencer. So put that one in your back pocket for the next brainstorm. And when we talk about consumers seeking diverse voices, we are in part talking about diversity in age. You know, silver influencers bring a different perspective and in some cases more credibility. They've seen some things. They've lived through moments like this one. So it might be a good idea to invite them to the table once in a while. And as we know, influencer content isn't just about finding the perfect influencer, but also about matching that influencer to the right format of content and the right platform at the right time. We shared some new data from Modash this week in the newsletter, which suggested that demos and tutorials are best for driving sales, especially for those bottom of the funnel consumers. And as we know, short form content on TikTok and Reels is best for driving that quick engagement and viral potential. And for things like deeper storytelling and product reviews, you'll want long form content, which helps you start to build more trust. They also found that nano and micro influencers have higher engagement and better conversions due to their authenticity. While Instagram leads in purchases, we know that TikTok's shop feature is starting to gain traction, especially with low ticket items. And speaking of social media, Hootsuite has released its Q1 2025 update about the best times to post on each platform. When you average everything out, 8 a.m. on Wednesdays is usually a good bet. But of course, each platform comes with its own secrets. They found that on Instagram, brands tend to perform better in the mornings and personal accounts perform better in the evening. On Facebook, you really just want to be sure that you're getting your audience's time zone right. When it comes to X, you want to post in the morning when things are just breaking. And on TikTok, posting early also helps you gain traction over time. Whereas on Pinterest, SEO is way more important than timing. And timing brings me to my next story, Southwest Airlines. Read the room, man. Southwest Airlines is ending its iconic bags fly free policy. So starting in May, most customers will have to pay to check a bag. And I know that sounds pretty typical, but it marks a significant departure from the airline's 60-year tradition. And airlines tend to have pretty loyal customers, so the backlash has been strong. People are worried that Southwest is abandoning its quirky, customer-friendly brand. You know, its heart. And it's not exactly like people are really excited to fly right now. Southwest stock has dropped nearly 50% over the past 5 years, and so we can expect to see some overhauls in operations in a bid to boost profits. But at what cost? Southwest is also ending its signature open seating policy, and they've launched a pretty controversial and uncomfortable cabin redesign, you know, like flimsy plastic seating. And while the changes have angered passengers, investors have responded positively. Southwest stock has risen 9%, but will this be the final blow to the brand's distinctive reputation with consumers? It's time for an ad from the past. And today we're holding space for the Southwest Airlines that was in 1986.
Hey, golf partner, playing Sunday? Not here, taking off on a long weekend. Bye. Card game tonight? Yeah, deal me out. We're flying to the coast for the weekend. Oh, bye. Bye.
Announcing Southwest Airlines' great takeoff packages. One low weekend price for airfare, hotel, and car rental. Just call 1-800-423-LOVE.
Fly South.
Just say when.
Well, what the hell happened there? First of all, your friend seems like a really nice guy. You should probably stop bailing on him. Or you could invite him, damn. Second of all, why does that commercial aircraft begin a barrel roll toward the end? I get the just say when, but 9 times out of 10, I do not need my passenger aircraft to turn on a dime. Everything was fine and then it just took a sinister turn. A sinister flip. Maybe I'm just sensitive because I'm a 21st century traveler. If you were on that jet, your Biscoff cookies would have been on the floor, your ginger ale would be in your lap. I did not sign up for the Blue Angels. Get me out of here. And that wraps it up this week for the Daily Carnage Show. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd love it if you rated our show, liked and subscribed across all our socials, where you can find us at the Daily Carnage. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our daily marketing newsletter, where we're sharing all of these stories and more every day of the work week. We're also chatting about all things marketing and advertising in our exclusive Facebook community, so join us there to keep the conversation going, and I'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, Carnies.